Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is great to be here on an announcement that we've been looking forward to for a long time. And for nearly 12 years, we've been talking about our city values of lifelong learning and health and compassion. We've put those words into action through the daily efforts of about 5,000 hardworking Metro employees and also through our funding power, including the FY 22-23 budget that I recommended to Council about 6 weeks or so ago. Today, we're going to be talking about a project that our Office of Civic Innovation and Technology has led to bring those values together and put them to reality right here in the great neighborhood of Russell. Now, even before I was mayor, it was really clear to me that Louisville needed to be better aligned with the fast-changing world of technology and innovation. And we were not alone like that as a city, but the world's been moving fast. That was 12 years ago. It's moving even faster right now. And so anything our city government could do to improve technology and improve access to our residents so that they could better have more technology in their homes and businesses was important, because we could not stop as a city, and certainly as my office, until everybody was along for the ride for digital access. And that's why early in my administration we created Louisville Metro Government's first ever team dedicated just to civic innovation. And I think we were the first government in America to do that. Now you'll see chief innovation officers in many cities and some state governments as well. But this was a new concept born out of the work that I'd done in the private sector. So I'm very proud of our cities leading this all throughout the country. So as part of civic innovation, one of the priorities we set was digital inclusion, because we all know that education, jobs, news, healthcare, entertainment, homework, lots of necessities of life have been trending digital for a generation. And today, I think it's clear to all of us that fast, reliable internet access is no different than the need for water or electricity and other utilities. You just basically can't live without it in this modern world. Our residents needed to take classes online, to apply for jobs, and increasingly to perform jobs, especially with the return to work that we see going on. Telehealth really expanded during the pandemic, and that is a permanent fixture in healthcare delivery of people just calling in over the web, talking to their doctor, and getting quicker care from the home. So that's the reality. Now, the challenge was, even as recently as 2020, around 80,000 households in Louisville did not have a computer in their home. And unfortunately, many of those households are in neighborhoods already stressed by poverty and discrimination, and also where internet prices were unaffordable. So we called all that combination digital redlining. In effect, the inability for many people in low-income communities to have access to the internet because they just couldn't afford it. So they were redlined out of access to the web. So that's a challenge in so many different ways. It's a moral challenge, it's an economic challenge, but certainly it's a pressing challenge. And like many of our pressing challenges, a city government cannot solve it alone, so we needed partners. And I'm pleased to say that to date, with partners, our digital inclusion efforts have helped out almost 1,200 people with donated devices into the hands of digital skills training participants. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a second. And an additional 1,276 new devices into the hands of residents in need. We've partnered with high-speed internet providers and the federal government to help promote and sign people up for the Affordable Connectivity Program, which now has nearly 43,000 participants. So listen to that. We had this 80,000 gap, and in just 2 years, 43,000 participants. So this is nearly 43 times our previous total number of the 1,000 residents that were taking advantage of that program. So that's quite a breakthrough for us. There are 16 dedicated community computer labs with digital skills providers in addition to our public libraries and our community centers. We completed phase 1 of the expansion of the Louisville Fiber Internet Technology Project, we call that LFIT, in 2020. And LFIT is a partnership with Kentucky Wired, the Commonwealth's project to provide what's called middle mile fiber infrastructure. Think of it as a digital highway, so that private companies can come in and set up the final connection to households and businesses. Now, thanks to our Metro Council for their partnership and their $5.4 million investment in the LFIT build-out. Phase 1 of the LFIT expansion added 100 miles to the Louisville Metro Government's fiber network in West Louisville along Broadway to Shawnee Park and into Portland via 22nd Street. So through LFIT, we've also wired multiple Metro facilities in West Louisville, including the Shawnee Library, the NIA Center, the Shawnee and Portland Community Centers as well. And in partnership with Kentucky Wired, these additional miles of fiber optic network stretch across Louisville Metro, including Westport Road, Shelbyville Road, Hurstburn Lane, Taylorsville Road, Preston Highway, and Dixie Highway. LFIT's expansion also enables broader adoption of smart city technology, like smart lighting and smart parking meters that you're seeing in our city now, and then expanded bus rapid transit systems like we have today on Dixie Highway. We also expect more expansion of broadband internet access in our community as the bipartisan infrastructure law plays out over the next couple years. Now, you got to have skills to access and take advantage of the internet. As for tech skills, our nationally recognized Code Louisville program has now placed about 750 people in career advancing tech jobs. So these were folks that were interested in getting into a tech career, take Code Louisville, and many times go from struggling wages to good now career tech wages and a career in technology after that. We've partnered with Microsoft to continue the work of promoting digital skills through the Future of Work initiative, with a focus on underserved communities, including recent online workshops where 2,500 people learned how to use Microsoft Excel, Power BI, and Power Apps. So what you're seeing here is a lot of appetite in the community to enhance tech skills, and you're seeing the city responding with lots of initiatives, and those initiatives then are really setting records for us. So, why are we here? For today's announcement, we are announcing that we have flipped the switch on free outdoor Wi-Fi right here in the Russell neighborhood. Free outdoor Wi-Fi in the Russell neighborhood is now available. So we're officially announcing it, but it actually went up on Friday. And without announcing it, I just learned that 317 people are already using the free Wi-Fi. So the word is getting out, and we expect a lot of use through the Russell Neighborhood Wi-Fi network. This program is part of a $400,000 Choice Neighborhoods implementation grant awarded to our city through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, called HUD, which gave us the opportunity to work with Spectrum to install 23 Wi-Fi access points at strategically chosen locations around here. I want to thank Lisa Osanko, who's behind me here, who runs our housing authority and is our day-to-day contact with HUD and certainly our leader at the housing authority. So thank you, Lisa, for another good enhancement here. They do a lot more than just housing. They help people reach their full human potential. So what this means is that residents in outdoor spaces here in Baxter Square and Beecher Terrace and other parts of Russell will be able to connect to free Wi-Fi while they're outdoors. So this obviously is good news. It's a free, valuable resource for residents in the community. A lot of work went together from a lot of people to get us here. But we still know there's a lot to do, and with our partners, we're going to continue working to close the digital divide, eliminate digital redlining, and live up to our promise as a city of equity where everybody has the opportunity to reach their full human potential. So we call that compassion here in our city. And now I'd like to introduce a man who understands compassion. He's one of the great citizens that Louisville's ever had. He's a recipient of the Martin Luther King Keeper of the Dream Award. He also is the chairman of the Louisville Metro Housing Authority, and that gentleman, of course, is Chairman Manfred Reed. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. What we have just heard from the mayor is evidence of what quality leadership is. especially in neighborhoods that have been underserved. And the rebuilding of our neighborhood requires these type of investments that's necessary, that as we rebuild the neighborhood, provide home ownership, putting housing on the market for sale. We need the technology and instruments like Wi-Fi to help market our community and broaden our perspective across not only Louisville and Jefferson County and the Commonwealth, but throughout the nation. With this technology, we can reach anybody in the country and sell them a house. So we have a chance to be able to build the Russell neighborhood back to where it should be and where it was in the early years of development in Louisville. And I'm referring to the 30s, the 20s, those years when there was transition that brought about black ownership in Louisville in terms of property ownership for the first time. And so we look forward, based on these investments that the city has made, Metro Government has found the time and the resources to rebuild, to rejuvenate, to bring new people in, and to generate the ideas for growth and development over the coming years. We have to rebuild the workforce in our neighborhoods, and we are seeking now contractors to participate in all the activities related to construction and building, not just in the Russell neighborhood, but throughout the community. And Wi-Fi will play a great role as we communicate and provide exhibitions and demonstrations that we can communicate through technology. And the city has been growing and developing in other areas. And we're bringing that growth now to this section of the city. And we're looking forward to ongoing growth that will continue throughout the years to come. During the 7 years of my tenure, we look forward to laying the groundwork by which that the building and growth and development of our community will continue generationally for years to come. Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you so much for this, and I turn it back to you. You're welcome.
It's really an amazing arc of history when you think about Chairman Reed up here. Tonight there's going to be a panel in the community about the Black Six black Louisvillians that were that the white establishment tried to set up back in the day to blame for some civil unrest in 1968. One of those Black Six was a young professional real estate man named Manfred Reed, right here. And when you think about kind of that arc here over the last 54 years, from being part of that history of our city to Chairman Reed fighting for justice each and every day, for him as being chairman of our Louisville Metro Housing Association, and for him speaking here this moment about Wi-Fi and internet connectivity and all the issues associated with that and how much the world has changed in 54 years. I don't think any of us could have imagined in 1968, we didn't even conceptualize what the internet was.
That's right.
But what we did have is we had consistent, good people always ready to fight for the right thing in our community. And Manfred Reed's life has just been an example of that. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize you again, Mr. Chairman, for the incredible life that you've lived and all the help that you've given people. Thank you. God bless you. Pretty strong. We have a really strong Office of Civic Innovation and Technology as well. Cities from all around the country come to learn about what we're doing. We are more than ably led by Grace Simmerall, our chief for that office, who is now going to be sharing some thoughts with us. Grace?
Thank you so much, Mayor. It is a real pleasure to join you for this announcement. and I appreciate your thanks. I think what's so exciting about us standing here, and you might look around and say, well, I don't see anything, and I think that's the point. I really want to take some time to take stock of what we're celebrating here today, and that is we're making the invisible visible, meaning that when we started this work in 2015, and in fact you could say this might be the origin story of the current Office of Civic Innovation and Technology, we were committed to measuring so that we could manage. And we really didn't know what the ground truth was in the Russell neighborhood. So we launched an ambitious pilot to add 3 Wi-Fi access points in 3 strategic locations in the Russell neighborhood. Lo and behold, thousands of residents connected to those devices. And so we demonstrated that the demand was there. But like so many cities, we knew that, in fact, connectivity wasn't the only problem facing our residents when it comes to digital inclusion. If you have connectivity, but you can't afford it, it doesn't do you any good. If you don't have a robust technological device, whether it's a laptop or desktop, again, think about how limited you can be on a smartphone. It's not enough to have a full digital life. And finally, if you don't have the skills to fully realize your potential, you're going to fall short. So we devised and released a strategic plan in 2016 around this 3-legged stool approach, solving for the needs of connectivity, hardware, and skills. And we were aggressive about measuring. We knew that we couldn't do this alone. We needed partners. One of our inaugural partners in this work is LMHA, and I want to thank them again for their work with us. And by the time we had concluded measuring in 2019, we were incredibly proud that we had connected 1,000 residents to low-cost internet plans in our community. We had collected and refurbished and redistributed 1,000 laptops and desktops to residents in need. And we had set up hundreds of digital skills trainings for our residents. Then the pandemic happened. And again, the invisible became visible because all of our conversations about the real impacts of the digital divide became incredibly impaired. When kids couldn't get on for NTI, when people couldn't work from home, when you couldn't do your telehealth visits because, again, you didn't have all of the tools you needed. And that's why we're so proud that we're able to complete this project, add a layer to the experience. So it's not just that when you're at home, you have robust connectivity, but even when you're enjoying public places. So the 24 Wi-Fi access points cover key locations in the Russell neighborhood, including TARC bus stops on Broadway, here in Baxter Square Park, Elliott Square, and Shepherd Park, in key locations along 18th and 22nd Street. And again, we encourage our residents, please take advantage of this. Not just the residents of Russell, but all those who've come to visit here. If it wasn't for the work of my incredibly dedicated team, we wouldn't be here today. And I want to take some time to acknowledge all of that hard work and cross-functional nature. So first, I would like to thank Ed Blaney, who was our former civic technology manager. Ed had this vision to begin with and ran the pilot in Russell and initiated this expansion in Russell. I'd like to thank Chris Sight, Director of IT, Jeremy Sissel, our Networking Engineer 3, Eric Burnett, who quarterbacked this project over the finish line, Andrew McKinney and Zane Casey for developing the map. If you're interested in looking at these locations for either the Russell Public Wi-Fi or other Metro Public Wi-Fi locations, there is a link in our press release. And I'm standing beside this beautiful sign. I really want to recognize Siobhan Kang, our coordinator for performance improvement and innovation, who designed these, and they'll be going up in those key locations. So it'll be easy for you to spot when you're out enjoying these public spaces. I also would like to thank Ricky Santiago for his work every day as the Digital Inclusion Program Manager, building partnerships to close the digital divide. And finally, our partners in this work today, LMHA, Russell Place of Promise, and Spectrum. The milestones we celebrate are the first of many towards creating the digital equity that our community deserves. Thank you.
All right, so a lot of progress. It's great to see this come to life. So encourage everybody in Russell or anybody that's in this part of the community to get online. With that, happy to take any questions. All right. Sure. Yeah, well, what you've seen from our administration is an intentional effort to regenerate West Louisville. Almost $1.5 billion now has been invested in West. And what we're trying to demonstrate is how you can regenerate without displacing people. Because what you've seen in other cities that have not managed the growth, they've seen the people that live in the areas not able to afford to live in the areas once they're regenerated. So having Wi-Fi access is part of a holistic approach toward making sure that all the necessary services are in a city so that you can, or a part of a city so that you can have a high quality of life. This will attract people to Russell as well. That will help the businesses in the area. So you can see new business development around here. Obviously, you're seeing new housing development with the new Beecher. You're seeing individual units being constructed in Russell. Norton Sports and Learning Facility is our western anchor for the Russell development. On the northern side is the new Waterfront Park, and then on the south side is the development going along around 26th and 18th and Broadway. So this is just part of that kind of holistic set of services that need to be available in the city. Well, this is think about this as a big pilot that's being funded by HUD, and so the $400,000 from them was certainly important to get this going. We'll monitor what the usage looks like. We'll evaluate needs in other parts of the West End as well. And then I imagine that filling those needs will be introduced in further budgets. But we want to just make sure if there are gaps to getting people online, the city needs to do everything they can to close gaps, and obviously this is one of those efforts. Okay, well, thank you all for covering this. Take care.